Coming up on Newsroom WolvHaven, transphobia under the spotlight after an altercation between two WolvHaveners, permanent warnings introduced in a bid to curb repeat offenders, and the last part of WolvHaven's democracy suspended without thunderous applause but rather with complete indifference. I'm Matthew Tofu in One North, and Newsroom WolvHaven starts right now. Hello and welcome to Newsroom WolvHaven. Transphobia was put into spotlight in WolvHaven earlier this year after a particularly heated exchange between two WolvHaveners towards the end of December 2022. The altercation happened after a Traxica official reached out to Banjo29 with regards to potential cooperation on a project in Kalidia. Banjo declined the invitation, and when asked why, they stated that they did not wish to work with a quote bigoted cunt, referring to an unidentified third player who would also be involved with the project. Following a heated back and forth between Banjo and Traxica, Traxica made use of the term pseudo-girl in a way that was clearly directed at Banjo. Following this incident, Traxica was issued with two official warnings under Section 1A of the WolvHaven server rules for general disrespect, an action done with intent to discomfort a member of the community, while Banjo was issued one official warning under the same clause. Immediately after the warnings were issued in hashtag notifications, Tired Bi Girl, formerly known as Little Doggy 2, issued a fiery statement directed towards staff. She asked whether the staff team had just quote, totally given up, and pointed out how in her view staff wanted to, quote, make absolutely sure that no one is under the false impression that they would, quote, protect members from attacks unless they're the perpetrators of abuse, apparently. She pinpointed the fact that Banjo was warned for what she viewed as a, quote, culturally standard response to blatant bigotry, and stated that staff enforcement wasn't only going, quote, downhill, but was, quote, flying out of orbit at lightning speed. She also targeted Traxica and stated that she had no respect left for him and slammed his, quote, backwards personality, which she said would get him nowhere in life. Following this, helper Matthew Tofu, who had issued the warnings, posted an official staff response responding to Tired Bi Girl's accusations. He pointed out that the staff team would like to remind players that there is, quote, almost always more context behind an incident than what is usually posted in notifications, and that in the interest of, quote, confidentiality, staff would, quote, generally try to limit the release of information to the public. However, the statement noted that staff had acknowledged that in this particular case, the lack of context had, quote, caused confusion about the incident, and that the staff team would like to, quote, apologize for this. The statement then went on to detail the warnings, pointing out how Banjo had directed the term, quote, bigoted cunt to a third party uninvolved in the direct messages in a way that was, quote, inflammatory and provoking, considering that they were responding to a simple invitation to cooperate on a project, and that it had happened before Traxica had called Banjo a pseudo-girl. The statement went on to emphasize that, quote, transphobia and other forms of targeted hate are not accepted in WolvHaven, and that there was, quote, never any question that significant punishments were required with regards to Traxica's transphobic language. However, the statement pointed out that the fact that Banjo was, quote, also warned was unfortunate, though her actions could, quote, not be ignored either. In response to players' comments that the order in which the warnings were sent out caused confusion, President Silverwolf responded that it was, quote, not a standard procedure to send out warnings in a chronological order, because the reasons bundled for the warning may have occurred in between each other, but that he was open to reviewing and changing this. Newsnet also reached out to President Silverwolf for further information. Here's what he had to say.
On the 1st of January 2023, staff issued a double and single warning towards two members respectively. This was primarily due to an altercation that happened regarding the first member's request for connecting infrastructure project with the second member. The original warning message sent out in the notifications channel indicated that the double warning was towards the first member for using a transphobic term, and the single warning was towards the second member for using certain expletives. As a result of the written nature of the notifications message, some members interpreted the issuance of the warnings for the offences committed in a chronological order, causing distress and concern regarding staff's handling of the situation, especially among server members who were of the trans community. Their concern was that we were issuing a warning for what would have otherwise been a justified response towards blatant transphobia. The facts of the case are as follows. When staff conducted its investigations, it was found that the first member had approached the second member in a cordial and polite manner. However, the second member, through the use of expletives, caused the situation to escalate, which eventually led to the transphobic term being used. Reports were submitted by both parties to the staff as a result. The first member received a double warning for usage of the transphobic term, and I want to reiterate and make clear that WolvHaven does not tolerate any form of discrimination, be it racism, sexism, or homophobia, or transphobia. Now, the second member received a warning for instigating and escalating what would have been a general request for collaboration, which led to the unfortunate usage of the transphobic term. It was on the basis that this whole altercation could have been avoided had the second member exercised restraints on their choice of words, which led to staff having to unfortunately issue this warning towards them as well. Staff have always limited the amount of information included in notification messages sent out in the notifications channel. However, in this situation, the omission of detailed information led to several misinterpretations towards the actual sequence of events and the staff justifications for the issuance of the said warnings. This misinterpretation has unfortunately caused some distress and concerns towards how the situation was handled, and for that I will apologize on behalf of the staff team. Staff are currently looking into ways to prevent such incidents from happening again, and we will revise the way in which we format our warnings notification messages. In the meantime, staff have also taken additional steps to make warnings more effective. We have introduced permanent official warnings as a new form of penalty which will only expire upon a successful appeal. Regular official warnings that expire after 2 months will continue to exist and continue to be issued where appropriate, but the permanent option ensures members who repeatedly commit the same offences to reflect on said actions instead of waiting out for their warnings to expire before committing the same mistake again. Thank you.
Also in enforcement-related news, staff issued a general reminder on backseat moderation in November 2022. President Silverwolf reminded players that backseat moderation referred to, quote, interfering or unauthorized policing of other members of the staff, which included, quote, speaking with authority, suggesting or discussing bans or punishments, or interfering when staff are handling a situation or threatening to report a player to staff. He went on to remind WolvHaveners that players should create a ticket under moderation services to ensure that matters such as a breach of server rules or things as, quote, trivial as general annoyance could be dealt with in a, quote, orderly and civic manner. He stressed that members that backseat moderate do not, quote, help with the situation and in most cases only, quote, further escalates the situation rather than solves it. This reminder came following 2 players being warned for the same offense. PTTC 0116 and Luminous Sword, previously known as Himato 0224, were both issued 1 official warning each for backseat moderation. PTTC was issued the warning following them publicly requesting server staff to ban a player by bringing in issues from a foreign server into WolvHaven in a manner that was, quote, uncalled for and stirred unnecessary drama within the server. Himato, on the other hand, was warned for threatening to report a player to staff for, quote, violating Hong Kong's laws, more specifically reporting a player who had referred to Taiwan as an independent country rather than a province of China, which caused, quote, unnecessary alarm to other members in the server. Moving on now, WolvHaven introduced a new type of warning in mid-February. Announced by President Silverwolf on the 12th of February, permanent warnings were added to staff's purview a week later on the 18th. As the name suggests, permanent official warnings are similar to regular official warnings, except that they remain active permanently until an appeal has been submitted and accepted by members of staff. President Silverwolf stated that the introduction of the new type of warning was prompted by members of staff noticing that the, quote, effectiveness of official warnings had been, quote, reduced over the years, as some members waited for such official warnings to expire after 2 months, and then continued to, quote, make the same mistakes or refuse to correct their behavior. The president later clarified that regular official warnings would continue to exist and would be issued where possible, and that permanent official warnings were mainly aimed at players who had consistently committed the same offense. Now onto parliamentary news. WolvHaven was left without a legislative body after the Senate was suspended indefinitely following the end of the 17th term of Parliament at the end of 2022. Before its suspension, the upper house of Parliament consisted solely of members of the staff team. The Senate had remained in operation even following the indefinite suspension of the House of Representatives following the end of the 15th term of Parliament in December 2021, though in practice, legislative business had ended long before the official suspension. In October 2022, President Silverwolf introduced the Feedbacks and Suggestion channel. Making use of the new Forums feature on Discord, President Silverwolf stated that members of the server could use the channel to submit feedback or suggestions that they may have for matters regarding, quote, all aspects of the server, effectively replacing the former parliamentary system. Other new channels were similarly introduced following Discord's introduction of the forum system. A Market Info forum was created to facilitate discussion of in-game organizations and franchises on the server, while the Fifth Haven Dev Forum was introduced in order to better structure planning and discussion of the upcoming City World. Still ahead on Newsroom WolvHaven, we'll have an update on Vision 2023 related changes to the server, and we tracked down former WolvHavener Baymax 1020 who had disappeared from the server back in 2020. Stay with us here on Newsroom WolvHaven.
It really just is that Nuna and I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The main goal was trying to get the outside shots of the precinct right, because the building they claim to be the 99 precinct actually is the police station in real life. You can find it 1 block south of the Barclays Arena in Brooklyn. We later decided to dedicate a whole neighborhood to Brooklyn Nine-Nine eventually. It will probably be named Little Brooklyn. There will be Easter eggs everywhere. Fans of the series will love it for sure. We will also want to rebuild the interior of the precinct, but that is a huge challenge.
Welcome back to Newsroom WolvHaven. As part of WolvHaven's shift to creative-focused gameplay, President Silverwolf announced that train driving would not be carried over to the upcoming Fifth Haven metro system, in essence meaning that the profession would be phased out, along with the current WolvHaven City World and metro network. In conjunction with this decision, the president had announced that there would be a relaxation of train driving rules, including the removal of all driver blacklist when announced, and other changes as a quote last hurrah before the rule was retired. WolvHaveners got more than what was widely expected when President Silverwolf announced in early October 2022 that from the 14th of the same month, manual metro lines would be able to be driven by players who did not hold licenses. As a result, the warps for train depots located at the Department of Transport building at Dakota became publicly accessible for the first time. In addition, President Silverwolf also confirmed that past driver blacklists would be waived. However, the president also cautioned that these relaxations would be subject to change if abused. Still in Vision 2023 news, as outlined in the Vision, a new sandbox was opened towards the end of August 2022. While President Silverwolf had announced back then that the old sandbox world would be retired mid to end September of the same year, this has still yet to occur, and players can still visit the old Superflat plot world. Also towards the end of August 2022, changes were made to the builder ranks of the server. While announcing the results of architect and engineer applications, Ministry of Internal Affairs Head of Department CM Raiders announced that the latest applications would be the last ones processed, as staff were considering revamping the architect and engineer ranks. This was previously hinted in the Vision 2023 plan, in which the builder rank would be formalized and would constitute a stepping stone for those wishing to apply for both the architect and engineer ranks, with all players being able to become builders if they wish to contribute to Fifth Haven and after having received World Edit qualifications. Builders wishing to apply for the architect and engineer ranks would only be able to submit contributions or builds within the WolvHaven server as items that would be assessed for a possible promotion, with applications with contributions to official public infrastructure such as Fifth Haven or Gardella or Callidian public infrastructure being favored. A one-time audit of existing architects and engineers was also outlined, with non-contributors potentially losing their rank. The engineer rank was also proposed to be redefined as a rank given to players who specialize in construction of infrastructure, such as bridges, tunnels, roads, or railways that are sufficiently detailed and are of quality, or have exceptional redstone skills or capabilities. And finally, the architect and engineer committees were proposed to be merged together, their list of members made public, and all deliberations with regard to applicants also made public in a bid to address the two committees' current lack of transparency. And on to other news, WolvHaven's staff team is back to 18 members following architect Gravity Duke's promotion to helper on the 15th of January. The last time a member of the community was promoted to the staff team was in May 2021, when engineer Perfect Trains and architect Wilhelm59 were promoted to helper. Here's what Gravity Duke told Newsnet earlier this year.
In regards to my promotion to helper, I'm hugely grateful for this promotion, as I know that the role comes with incredible responsibility, which I hope to display in my time as a helper. I hope to do my best for this beautiful online community, and I look forward to working with utmost integrity and dedication to this community, which has helped me so much over the past 3 years.
And in a quick DevCom update, the server faced issues with its dynamic DNS system in early 2023, leading to multiple occurrences in which players were unable to join the server, in addition to other services such as the website and wiki being inaccessible. Insider sources confirmed that the DNS system was regarded as being quite, quote, fragile, and that in addition to other reasons, a migration of the server back to Europe was being considered for 2024 or 2025. And finally, it's now been nearly 3 years since WolvHaven citizen and staff member Baymax1020 was last seen on the server. After many months, our investigative team has finally tracked down the evasive ex-WolvHavener who many fellow citizens miss dearly. Here's Bargain Bin Admin with this exclusive interview for Newsnet.
Hello WolvHaveners, I am Bargain Bin Admin, current senior mod and reporter here with Newsnet, and I am here in the Nelsonburg Red Light District, joined by staff member Baymax1020, who hasn't been seen for the past 3 years. We finally found him. Super exciting. And so, it's first of all, Baymax1020, it's very nice to see you, I must say. I haven't talked to you in a very long time. Yeah, nice to see you as well. Okay, well, I will just start off with a nice quick question, and I think this is something that everybody has been wondering. Where have you been the past 3 years? Yeah, I've just been here in hiding in the Nelsonburg red light district. Just chilling. Not too much going on. Okay, but there has to be some reason that you've been in hiding for the past 3 years, right? So, what's made you hide away from the WolvHaven community for the past 3 years? Yeah, I owe $100,000 in income tax to the WolvHaven government. Don't really want to pay that. So I guess that would be reason number one. But I think reason number two, honestly, is just the fact that this server is kind of poo-poo. More specifically, there are some very stinky people on the server I'd rather just not talk to. Shout out to Lucker HDD, Helpay, Mattias Benito, or whatever that guy's name is, Grass Jelly. I just don't want to talk to those people, I'm going to be honest. So I've just kind of slipped away, gone into hiding. And you know what? I've enjoyed it, so really no regrets at the moment, to be honest. Okay, well, I'd hate to be those people. But, you know, another common kind of theory going around is the fact that you decided to leave to avoid prosecution for your human rights violations within the city of Cranbrook. So would that be kind of the third reason you've decided to hide away, or is that just patently false? Oh, that is absolutely false. I'd just like to say and be forthright with everyone. It's the fact that Cranbrook has absolutely no human rights violations. Everyone is very happy there. It is the most democratic city in Gardelia. I won 110% of the vote legitimately, and anyone who says otherwise is completely wrong. Okay. And would you say crashing the server and nearly losing the world of Gardelia play a part in this as well? No, absolutely not. I have no regrets with crashing the server, and frankly, I have no regrets nearly losing Gardelia. I wish it succeeded, to be honest. I think the only two worlds the server needs are Sandbox and Trees, and I think the fact that we restored Gardelia is really just kind of a bad sign for the server. I think it's taking the server in the wrong direction. So absolutely no regrets about that. I have no shame in the fact I did that, and it was definitely not a reason behind me going back into hiding. Okay. Very interesting. And another kind of theory that has been going around is that you, Baymax1020, are actually me, Bargain Bin Admin. So what is your response to the people saying that we're the same person? Yeah, it's just 100% fake news. I just like to say, I mean, first of all, I think we have pretty distinct different voices, and so I don't know how people could think we sound like the same person. But the main difference between us both is that I, Baymax1020, I'm funny, I'm not stinky, and I have big brain. And Bargain Bin Admin is a guy who's been senior moderator for 3 years and can't even hit admin. So I think my point stands. Ouch. Okay, well, that kind of hurt my feelings. But okay, we're running out of time here, so that is all the questions we are going to be asking Baymax1020, current staff member of WolvHaven and also citizen in hiding today. But if you have any questions you want to ask this very handsome, very famous man, just tweet at us, and if we can find this guy again, we will make sure to make your questions heard. But that is all the time we have scheduled for today's interview. Thank you so much for watching. I am Bargain Bin Admin here in the Nelsonburg Red Light District, and I'll pass it back to Matthew in the newsroom. Matthew, back to you.
And thank you very much. That was our very own Bargain Bin Admin there in the Nelsonburg Red Light District. Usenet also later reached out back to Baymax 1020 to ask if he had any messages to pass on to Wolvhaveners who miss him. In response, Baymax 1020 sent out the following statement. And with that, that's it for this edition of Newsroom WolvHaven. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.